We're back on our show this Monday morning with us, Elvin Shields. He is going to be the featured speaker Thursday afternoon as LSUA celebrates Black History Month. And Mr. Shields, thanks for coming to the show. Good to have you this morning.
Great.
And you have a wonderful story to tell. Born and raised on Cane River.
Plantation.
Yeah.
Tell us about
That's
your
the
story.
key.
Yes, yes, it is absolutely a key.
That's the key. Well, you know, as a child of sharecroppers, you know, you start about 5 years old, you got to head to the fields, and you have, after you leave the fields, you have chores to do. You get those done. And, you know, we got to school mid-year, sometime late November after the crops were in.
Really? Yeah.
So that meaning you really, when you got to school, you showed up. The kids were, you know, you had different sets of children. You had the plantation kids, which they call, the sharecroppers kids were called plantation kids. So when they showed up to school, it's like, this is all new. The kids have been there since September, and we shows up. But we were kind of lucky then with, you know, with the teachers realizing that these kids have to be ready when they get here. So several teachers would come around and teach not only the kids but the family, because a lot of the parents had to drop out of school in the fifth, sixth grade. And so when the teacher comes, you're teaching the kids and you're teaching the parents. So every year, come graduation, normally, I would say 90% of the time, a plantation kid is the valedictorian or the salutatorian, because they knew the value of an education because they didn't have the leisure. See, because you have to do the chores, you have to raise those little animals you have to take care of the chickens, take care of the few pigs, you have to raise a garden to support yourself.
It's that work ethic.
Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
Constantly working, and the only time you had time off was on Sunday, and of course, being the small black Baptist churches, that's almost all day.
Right, right. But fun and celebration, yeah.
Yeah, so so basically on the Sunday afternoon, you were basically free.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry.
yes.
What will be your message Thursday?
Well, basically my message would be, if a child who grows up on a plantation can go to the military for 4 years, go through the Vietnam experience, come out the Vietnam experience, get married, start raising a family, start college, finish college, and then have a career in engineering. Now, there wasn't a lot of math being taught at these little black segregated schools, because I never seen a calculus book until I got in college.
Wow.
And in a lot of the sciences, now we had some biology, but there was very little physics or chemistry.
Your mechanical engineering career took you to Washington, D.C. You're back. You came back home to Natchitoches Parish. Why?
Well, that's the key. I married a girl that I was formally introduced in 4th grade to, and we started dating at the senior year. She was the smartest girl in the class. I was pretty smart, I thought I was. We competed the whole time.
Right.
She grew up on a plantation also. So when we got out of high school, I went to the Army and she went off to college, and she thought she wanted to be an English teacher. Well, she started it, and she said, you know, maybe this isn't for me, and she stopped and went to work. So 4 years later, I got out of the Army, we got married and started a family, and we both went back to college, and she became a computer science person.
And you have retired, and you also volunteer for, tell us, the Cane River Creole National Historical Park.
Yes.
Over in Natchitoches.
Well, the reason why that happened is when I came back from retiring from at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., I came back and I realized that all the other plantation homes were there, but they've torn down all the slave tenant cabins, and most of the plantation home was just, you know, you go into the big house.
Big, beautiful home.
Big, beautiful home.
Right.
And it was like a, you know, it's tourists. But lucky for me, the U.S. Park Service purchased the Oakland plantation where I grew up. And out of about 30 or 40 slave shacks were there, only 2 were left. Those 2 I lived in. My sister lived in one, and my family lived in the other. They were still there.
Incredible story.
So you can tell that story. Mr. Shields, thanks for coming.
Great.
So again, the
Enjoy
luncheon,
having
you
you.
need to purchase tickets in advance because there is limited seating. So Mark, you want to give the information about how they do purchase those tickets?
Oh, okay. We have the information there on our screen. And again, that's coming up on Thursday, and the doors start to open at 11:30. You're the featured speaker.
Yes.
And certainly
thanks
if
for coming.
folks would like to know more information about touring the Cane River Creole National Historical Park, how do they do that?
Oh, you can just go on the Park Service website.
Okay.
And basically, they have a website, and did you go to the national park?
Okay.
You know.
And because it's such a wonderful, it must be wonderful for the children to actually hear you tell the tale of growing up and how life was. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Elvin,
We
thanks for
appreciate you
coming.
coming.
Good deal.
Come back
Thank
and
you.
see us.
Yep.
Sure, I will.
You got plenty of time. More to come on our show this Monday. Stick
Okay.
around.